Rachel Martin, two parents themselves who faced the sharp end of this crisis, but also two parents who've led on a national level with Equality in Education campaign that I think has captured people's minds across the country. The failings that we've seen, they're not anything new. These are failings that have been baked into the system for a long number of years. But I think today what we're highlighting is how badly the government have failed for this coming September. We're aware of at least 260 children that don't have access to appropriate school places for this September, and this is after the government made promises back in February and March to sanction hundreds of new classes that they called record levels of provision for special education, and still we have children left in uncertainty. Rachel will talk about her own situation in a second and some of the other parents that have been affected, but I think what we've seen on the main is promises with no delivery. So there are a large number of classes in my own area, Dublin West, but also across the country where schools have not yet got the space to provide these new special classes. So government have gone out, they've tried to kind of win the day with good publicity that came around the time of those sanctionings, but in reality parents and children have been left behind. So we're here to say today that this is unacceptable. Ireland is one of the wealthiest countries in the world. We've made this point repeatedly that we can provide, we should be providing access to education, decent quality education for all children in their own local communities, crucially as well. We see thousands of kids every week bussed out at great expense to far-flung locations just to get schooling. On top of that, we see a large number of children on reduced timetables, children in inappropriate places, children being expelled, suspended, excluded from education because schools cannot meet their needs. And I think most worryingly, what we've seen in the last couple of weeks is the NCSE and the department using Section 67 of the Education Act to enlarge the sizes of special classes. So with the numbers of SNAs that have been promised by the government in the last budget, we're very worried that schools will be stretched, those resources won't go far enough, and you'll have a situation where children who had places actually be in a worse situation because they haven't got the same level of support from SNAs. So I hand over to Rachel, who's an SNA as well and sees this on the front lines as well as being a parent.
Hi, my name's Rachel Lowry and I'm a mummy to two autistic girls, 10 and 5 years of age. We did this battle 3 years ago for our 10-year-old who secured her place in an autistic classroom just before her 7th birthday. And now we've had to do this battle again now this year for my 5-year-old. Lucy is 5, has done 3 years in preschool, 3 different preschools due to Department of Ed rules. She was in a preschool that was funded by Home Tuition specifically for children with autism, and was offered a preschool in a Department of Education early intervention, so her home tuition was effectively cut and we had to move her, we had no choice. After we made the move to this preschool, then we discovered that they could only keep her till she is 5.5. So in this June, my daughter aged out of preschool. We were offered a primary school place for Lucy in March of this year, subject to building works. We have recently found out that these building works will not be completed by September, therefore my child has nowhere to go in September. And I just want her to start school like every other junior infant in the country in September and walk her into her class, as every parent should be able to do. As I said, there's over 260 children without appropriate school places at the minute. We see this on the campaign and the needs of children not being met due to inappropriate SNA allocations as well, and not enough SNA has been allocated and not enough put into SNA training to help people on the ground meet the needs of these children.
Rachel, can you tell us a little bit about what school means for Lucy and what it would be like not to have school this coming September?
School means everything for Lucy. Lucy is very much, her routine is very important to her and structure is key to her development. I think for any 5-year-old to ask them to come out of school in the end of June, preschool setting, and not to go into a primary school classroom until November at the earliest, that's the earliest date we've been given, is a big ask of any child. Never mind a child that's neurodivergent, to go without those supports for that length of time.
And as an SNA, what sort of needs do you see in the classroom, like with services stretched? How does that impact children?
It's unbelievable. Like primary care needs are priority, as they should be. But that means secondary needs such as autism, such as movement breaks, such as things like that come second. Like if I have a child and I'm dealing with a primary care need, that child takes priority no matter what's going on with any other children in my care.
What's a primary care need?
So that would be anything from toileting, eating, the likes of epilepsy, diabetes, anything like that. Autism does not come into the primary care need category.
Yeah, okay. And overall, 260 sounds like a hell of a lot of children. Is that in Dublin, or is that across the country? Across the country. And the government have recently said time and time again that they will ensure that every child gets a space come September. Is it a situation that you just think they're not going to hit that?
No.
They won't hit that by any circumstance. So we know schools like the one that Lucy was due to start in September. There's other schools in Dublin North West as well that are in a similar situation. I know in Dublin South West the same. So this is a story we're in across the country. The Department of Education, in a number of cases, haven't actually released funds to provide modular classrooms or do building works in schools. So the department itself can't coordinate what needs to be provided at a basic level, buildings, facilities to actually host these classes. I don't think that will turn around in the next couple of months. We're on one of the last days of the Dáil for the summer. So we have made we've raised the question, why is the Dáil breaking for a recess now if this crisis hasn't been solved, that promise hasn't been delivered on? Because that promise has been repeated again and again by the Minister for Education and the Junior Minister for Special Education as well.
You're going to
What's going to happen in September then? You're working as an SNA, so you're needed.
She's at home. My husband was due to take up a course in Maynooth in September, and that's we're question mark over that now because we have nowhere for our daughter to go. She won't be in school. So school have only offered home tuition, which wouldn't be appropriate for Lucy. She wouldn't be able to cope with someone coming into the house trying to do school with her. Plus, she shouldn't have to, because home is her safe space. She deserves to be in her home and not caught. She deserves to have a classroom to walk into like every other child in September.
Just to add one thing is, look, we're rising for summer this week. By the time we get back on the 17th of September, schools will have restarted, and we're going to have a situation where I think parents will be left with no choice but to bring their kids and themselves outside the Dáil before it's even back to say, look, you said you were going to do everything possible to ensure that our children get in an appropriate school place, and we've been failed. And something to say, just that the 260 figure, in a way, it's a tip of the iceberg. Because, for example, Lucy wouldn't be included in the 260. She'd be included in the, so about 3,200 and something were parents notified the NCSE that they have additional needs. They're saying 92% of those have a place or a pathway to a place. And what a pathway to a place means that we have you allocated to a school, but the building may not exist yet, the classroom doesn't exist yet, the staffing resources to ensure the support for that child may not exist yet. So you have 260 children who have absolutely nothing, but then within the 3,000 children, you have many who won't have a place until November, until December, maybe until January, and you will have some who have been pressured to take inappropriate school places. So unfortunately, despite the really heroic campaigning by parents that I think has put this issue front and centre in the course of this Dáil term. There's been 2 sleep outs, there's been a very impressive march, there's been public meetings across the country. Lots of promises, lots of rhetoric by the government, but fundamentally still failing children with additional needs by failing to have their basic right to an appropriate school place in their local community.
If I might just add one last thing, I was talking to Rachel on the way over here today, how she's going to face this crisis again in a number of years. In Dublin North West and in other areas, there's a lot of focus on primary level provision of special education. But this is delaying a crisis again. You can almost see it in 4 or 5 years' time, where we'll have the same rush, parents going through the same anguish again, waiting for places at second level. So we think that the crisis that we're facing now, mostly concentrated at primary level, is as a result of a failure to plan, a failure to properly work through the numbers notified to the NCSE every year, likely demand in primary school as a result. We don't see those plans being worked out at second level either. So we're also raising the alarm for what is coming down the tracks, what we know will face us in the next few years. The government have failed on every front so far, and I think when they can fail on something as basic as providing the right to an education, it's hard to have any confidence in them to provide for any other basic right at all beyond that.
Sorry, Rachel, can I just ask you, you were saying there's 3 cohorts, just to
Three
talk us
cohorts.
through.
The 3 cohorts of children would be children in no school places, the children that have been offered school places but the buildings don't exist for them to walk into, and then there's the children that would be at the likes of mainstream that are in appropriate places. They haven't been factored in. Majority of us. So there's been a big push on the CNO's behalf this year. I was told by my local CNO, would you put her into mainstream in case a school opens a class? No, that's not good for my child. My child needs an autism class and an autism class year. CNO is they work for the NCSC. They're in charge of kind of allocating the places and signing on the places. So they're your special educational needs officers.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Robbie.
Thanks very much, guys.
Thanks, Minna.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.